What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Phillies Sports History for March 17th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Happy St. Patty's Day to everyone out there who celebrates. Ordinarily, I would be wearing my green today. However, it is Temple Day, and we'll go a little out of order today and start with the Bubble Watch. And yes, the Temple Owls are still dancing. 74-73 over Florida Atlantic, a team that was in the Final Four last year. And it's really great how this team has been playing and really putting it together. And it's almost like they've rallied around the whole scandal of the point shaving, match fixing, whatever you want to call it. They have not lost since, and they honestly have been red hot here in the American tournament. And the way they were resilient yesterday, especially early in that game, it could have been very easy for them to just kind of give up. And they got down, I think it was like 10 points very early. And they stuck with it, especially there in the second half. They built a lead, held off their comeback. Just a very resilient crew. And at this point, they play UAB on or at 3:15. And ironically enough, that's the team that started the whole point match fixing, whatever you want to call it. So last time they played, it was 100-72. Hopefully the Owls come out and play a little bit better defense. But it's March. Who knows? They're 6.5-point underdogs. And the way this whole conference tournament season so far has gone till today, with all the top seeds losing, it's well, and there's always a team that has a losing record that gets in. So why not Temple? And again, they have. Why not? I mean, that's all I have to say about it. Why not? I've seen crazier things happen. Teams with worse records get in. They really seem to be playing right now. Just ride that wave, and take it from there. Not a good day to be a bubble team, especially with the possibility that Wisconsin can get in. The possibility, which I think Wisconsin may be in anyway. But they're a bubble team themselves. But if Temple gets in, whew. So I would not want to be a bubble team today. But looking forward to the Temple Owls playing to get into the big dance this afternoon. Never thought in a million years I'd be saying that this season. But let's go Owls. St. Joe's dream ended yesterday against VCU. It was a hard-fought game, and it was actually a good game. Watching St. Joe's over this past week very closely, they're not a bad team, and they seem to be heading in the right direction. We have one late addition to our Bubble Watch. The Drexel women, if you haven't been paying attention, have been making a run in the CAA tournament. They are playing for a berth today in the women's big dance against Stony Brook, so we'll kind of keep an eye on the Lady Dragons as well. But that has been the Bubble Watch. Go Owls. I got to work on that sound effect. But anyway, so let's go back to how we normally start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. And I asked you, which former athlete or coach did you most wish won a championship while they were in Philly? 52% of you said it was Allen Iverson. 38% said Brian Dawkins, and 10% said John Chaney. No other write-in votes, so it makes me feel good that I kind of nailed the three people. But I think getting caught up right now, it's Selection Sunday, Temple's playing for the American Championship, getting caught up in all that, it's easy to say, for me, I wish it was John Chaney, and I truthfully probably would be torn between Chaney, but I think Iverson is the correct answer there, even over Dawkins. So kudos to you guys, and thank you for participating in the question of the day. 267-495-8531 get you in on the voice and text line. Let me know your thoughts on Selection Sunday, and there will be another question of the day coming up later in the show. All right, Sixers got a much-needed win, 109-98 over the Hornets. They kind of struggled. They should have probably put them away earlier than they did, but the win is a win. They're still right there in the thick of trying to get out of that play-in. I would love to see them kind of miss out. They are currently in 7th, but they're a half game out of the 6th seed. They're a half game out of the 8th seed, and 5th seed is still within reach as well. And I believe, I didn't really check that far up, but I think the fourth seed isn't necessarily completely out of the question either. They just need to be more consistent. And Maxey had 30. Kelly Oubre had 22, but they need other guys to step up. Tobias sat out with an ankle injury. But a good win, the win they needed, and this very easily, last year under Doc Rivers would have been a game that they totally would have lost. So I will take it. And if you want more basketball talk, go check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. I know we did a lot of work with them, and I was on for their football edition, but they just released and started the basketball edition in time for the NBA playoffs. So go check them out, the Clashing Conferences podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. Flyers showed a little bit of fight yesterday against the Bruins, the first two periods anyway. And then they quickly got down 3 goals in the third period. But they did battle back to lose 6-5 to the Bruins. Again, played them tough. They're a good team. Right now, I believe the win yesterday gave them the best record in the NHL. So no harm or no... it's tough because they're in the middle of the playoff race right now. And they also are in the middle of a rebuild. So it's tough to kind of say, moral victories. But they played them tough. Especially coming on the heels of that pathetic performance against the Maple Leafs the other night. And Boston is a Stanley Cup favorite, or one of the favorites to win the Stanley Cup. So no issues there, losing 6-5 to the Bruins. Union, meanwhile, had a 2-2 draw in Austin, and they get a much-needed week off between opening up the season and a lot of the travel, as well as the Champions Cup. They got a week off before they go out. I believe they play in Portland on Saturday. So take a break, guys. Rest up and get ready to focus on the MLS season. Now, I do have a quick Eagles update. Howie Roseman did not take Saturday off. Apparently, they signed linebacker Oren Burks from the 49ers. Not really expected to be a starter or anything like that. Played most of his snaps on special teams, but it is an area that you can always sign guys that can perform on, and it's we saw it in the Super Bowl how good coverage guys really can make a difference, and really that punt return is what I think, other than you can make the argument or whatever, but that punt return in the Super Bowl a couple years ago is really what I think cost the Eagles that game. But it remains to be seen if Howie is going to rest on the seventh day or if he's going to continue to build this team. For my money, sign Smitty. Extend him. It's the perfect day to do it. It's Selection Sunday. You'll have the news world, the sports news world, kind of, at least locally, you can kind of go in there and ride the Temple wave, whatever you want to do. Just get it done, Howie. Come on, dude. Get it done. Do it. Come on. Anyway, but as I mentioned last week, there probably would be a Saquon Barkley shirt coming out from Philly Goat. And not only is there one, there is 2. So go to phillygoat.com and check out the Saquon Squats and the Saquon Fly Eagles shirts. And just, again, get the shoes to match, buy a hat, buy some stickers for your car, your kid's water bottle, whatever. Go to phillygoat.com, use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. Get the Saquon Barkley shirts. All right. And finally, the Phillies. Brandon Marsh went 1 for 2. I think they played a split squad yesterday. I could not find anything else for the other team. But Whit Merrifield went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. I'm telling you, somehow he's going to play a big role in this season. Johan Rojas went 2 for 3. Good to see him now that we're getting closer to opening day. I'd like to see a 2 for 3 there, and maybe a 1 for 3, and maybe another 2 for 3, and possibly like a 3 for 4 with a walk or something. But you got to go. Let's go. Phils, it cannot come soon enough. And honestly, I already did the read for Philly Goat, but go buy the fans, the shoes. The shoes are amazing. I cannot wait for mine to come. So looking forward to that. All right, today we're going to go back to 1997. And on this day in 1997, the Eagles held a press conference to announce their latest free agent pickup, former Cowboy kicker Chris Boniol. Yes, they had a press conference to announce the signing of a kicker. This was an interesting time for the Eagles because they were clearly a second-tier team, good enough for the wild card, but just not good enough to compete with the Cowboys. So I do kind of remember this thinking, hey, he just kicked in the Super Bowl. He's going to bring some Super Bowl experience and confidence and whatever, blah, 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 blah. And at the time, again, it wasn't a bad pickup. He had that winning pedigree, I guess you could call it. It was a 4-year, $2.45 million contract. So think about that compared to what we have now. And that's 27 years ago or whatever it was. But with the Cowboys, he went 81 for 93, hitting 87% of his field goals, including 15 for 22 from 40 plus. He won a Super Bowl. He was a solid kicker. And, I mean, the Eagles, any help they could get during that time. This is when they were coming off of back-to-back 10-6 seasons. They lost to the Cowboys, I think, both years, 2 years in a row. They beat the – no, they lost – I'm sorry. They lost to the Cowboys after the year they beat in '95 when they beat the Lions, and then they had lost to San Francisco in the wild card round out in San Francisco when Ty Detmer was the quarterback. But again, a good pickup for them. I still don't know if you need to have a major press conference to announce the signing of a kicker, although they did do it for Jake Elliott, signing his extension. But Chris Boniol as an Eagle, not so good. 36 for 52, only in 2 years in Philly, hit 69% and only hit 8 of 22 kicks from 40-plus yards. He was gone after 2 years, definitely not worth the hype or the press conference. And honestly, his most memorable moment as an Eagle is probably the muff against the Cowboys. The Eagles had the Cowboys beat on Monday Night Football, Week 3 in the 97 season. In a game that they didn't deserve. It was just a sloppy, ugly game. But they had the game-winning field goal set up. Tommy Hutton muffed the hold. And it just was all over they kind of went into a downward spiral. The 97 Eagles went 6-9-1. But there was the Bobby Hoyen year where we were like, Bobby Hoyen's going to be the greatest thing ever. And then I don't think he threw another touchdown pass after that. But I remember that game specifically because it was the bid. I got my bid to pledge Pi Lambda Phi that night. And I remember one of the older brothers, Alvin Bailey, was a Cowboys fan. And I just remember talking trash to him, which, yeah. And then having to deal with, I got the bid, and then having to deal with, we had the Cowboys beat, and then Tommy Hutton dropped the ball. But on this day in 1997, the Eagles held a press conference to announce the signing of kicker Chris Boniol from the Cowboys, who did not do really anything with the Eagles. But that leads me to today's question of the day, and the fact that I was able to get at least 4 guys on this shows that there's been some bad ones over the years. But based on Chris Boniol's signing, and to celebrate that, which former Cowboy that signed with the Eagles was the worst? And there's a lot to pick from. Was it Chris Boniol? Was it Miles Austin? Was it DeMarco Murray? Or was it Orlando Scandrick? It's a tough one to choose from. To me, I mean, you could go either one because all 4 of them came in with some level of hype. But let me know, 267-495-8531, which former Cowboy that signed with the Eagles was the worst free agent pickup? Was it Chris Boniol, Miles Austin, DeMarco Murray, or Orlando Scandrick, or was it somebody else that I'm completely missing? Let me know. 267-495-8531. Get you in on the voice and text line. And then finally today, our Philly Sports Women's History Month Spotlight is Olga Dorfner, a Philadelphia swimmer who was just really ahead of her time. She became the first American swimmer to hold a world record in swimming, specifically in the 200-meter and the 100-yard freestyle events. She, over the course of her career, held 5 American records. She started swimming in 1914, which was kind of like a very, it was pre-World War I or right around World War I. So it was kind of a rough time in the country. So she unfortunately never got to swim in the Olympics. So she missed the 1916 Olympics because of World War I. She missed the 1920 Olympics because she was pregnant and having her child. So unfortunately, she never got to compete in the Olympics, despite being one of the very best and probably first really women's swimming superstar. I read that she was featured in Vanity Fair, kind of like a very borderline celebrity status, and it's just very sad that she was never able to actually compete in the Olympics, because probably would have won a gold or silver, couple of medals actually. So she is in the International Swimming Hall of Fame and the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, but Olga Dorfner is today's Philly Sports Women's History Month spotlight, a swimmer from Philadelphia who became the first American to hold a world record in swimming, first American women to hold a world record in swimming, and really had like a borderline celebrity status. So, I'll get it out. Olga Dorfner is today's Philly Sports Women's History Month spotlight of the day. Back on this day in 1997, the Eagles had a press conference to announce the signing of Chris Boniol, who stayed here for 2 years and really didn't do much and live up to the hype. But that leads to the question of the day. Which former Cowboy who signed with the Eagles was the worst free agent pickup? Was it Boniol, Miles Austin, DeMarco Murray, or Orlando Scandrick? 267-495-8531. Get you in on the voice and text line. Let me know. Let's go Owls. Let's go Lady Dragons. Let's make sure our bubbles don't burst. We'd love to have both teams so we can watch the women's tournament and the men's tournament. But we'll be back with our final bubble watch tomorrow. Hopefully celebrating the Owls punching their ticket to the big dance today, 3:15 versus UAB. Let's get it. Be safe if you're going out and having some fun today partying. Going to pick up some Guinness on my way home from the gym today. Looking forward to that. It's supposed to be a nice day, so watching the game out on the porch. But go have yourselves a Sunday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.